welcome to the Kel Knits Podcast. My name is Kelly and I'm an Aussie knitter currently living in Germany. This is my little podcast where I chat all about my knitting, what I'm working on, and other fibre arts occasionally, and other bits and pieces. I hope you're all having an excellent day. If you're able to be watching this while knitting on something, I hope it's going really well. But let's get into it. Before we go into all the knitting content though, I wanted to announce the giveaway winner. So last podcast, I decided to do a giveaway to get rid of some of my stash because I'm moving back home to Australia and I need to get rid of a lot of stuff, not just stash. And I had so many wonderful, lovely comments, and I'm excited to say that the winner is Jude Foster. Congratulations! You've won this beautiful sock yarn from Cieslak in Berlin in the Columbia colorway. We also have two lovely skeins of Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino in the colorway Rust. And lastly, this super cute little Progress Keeper by Atelier Marie Lucerne. It's like what are they called? One of those little houses on the beach where you can put your beach stuff. So that will all come your way. I will make sure I reply to your comment so that hopefully you get a notification. If anybody knows Jude, please feel free to reach out to her because I want to get this sent off to you ASAP. Otherwise, it's going to be in a shipping container on a boat on the way to Australia, and it'll be a while before you get to see it. So ideally, I want to get it off to you well before then. Okay, let's get on to the knitting. I don't actually have any finished objects today. I haven't had a huge amount of knitting time, so I thought I would wear something that I finished earlier this year in, I think maybe about March, and I'm sure it's familiar to many of you. It is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and it's a super popular knitting pattern. I decided to knit this actually. I was inspired because Karen from A Yarn Tale, which is an excellent podcast that I will link below and highly recommend for you. She did a knit along. What was it called? Knit Us Together, I think, which was knitting any Tin Can Knits pattern. And they have so many patterns, but I thought I'll do what is probably the most popular one, the Love Note. It has, you do a provisional cast on, knit the beautiful lace, and then the rest of it, and then at the end pick up and do the neckline here. And I've knit this in Fil Kalana Arvetta and one strand of that and a strand of mohair, which is the Lamana Premier mohair. They're both, I will write the colorways on the screen and below because I think they're both like burgundy. There's probably different names for them. So this is the first garment I've knit in mohair, and I was a bit hesitant because I can be a bit sensitive to mohair. I can find it a little bit itchy, but this one has a higher silk content, so actually it doesn't really bother me at all, which is great. Although in saying that, I haven't really worn this a great deal since I knit it, so I'm not sure why. I think it needs to come out of my wardrobe a bit more now that I'm putting it on. So yeah, although I think I didn't have the right jeans to wear with it. It would look really nice with a pair of dark skinny jeans, like or black skinny jeans or really dark blue, and I don't have that in my wardrobe yet at the moment, so maybe I need to go shopping. We'll see. No, I don't need more stuff. Okay, let's get on to the whips. I don't have, well, I have one small new whip, but most of my whips you've already seen before. So I actually thought I don't want it to be too repetitive. So I will write all of the information about the yarns and everything on the screen, and I will put them in the show notes below, but I won't go into all the detail. Otherwise, I just think you're hearing the same thing again and again, and it's not as interesting. So, and also that will kind of make us get through things a little bit quicker too. But my first whip work in progress is the Crescendo Summer Top by Sophie of the Knit Purl Girl. This is a test knit, and I believe that she's decided to delay the release until next summer, which I guess makes sense. because I think she was talking about how summer knitting patterns have a much shorter selling window, I suppose, than your warmer knits. And that means also the test deadline has been extended as well, which is great, although hopefully I will have this done fairly soon, because you can see I've finished the lace yoke and right now I'm just working on the body. I had a few issues with the lace. I mentioned in my last podcast that there was a mistake, but I was going to ignore it and keep going. Yeah, I couldn't ignore it. I'm not a perfectionist. I make mistakes and ignore them all the time, but this one was right on the yoke, and I just thought, I haven't done that much yet. Rep it back, start again, and I'm glad I did. And then I had another mistake when I had nearly finished the yoke. I'd done an extra increase. Anyway, got through it. It's fine. I'm working on the body. We're in stockinette sailing along at the moment. I'm going to my in-laws this weekend. It's a long drive to get there, and we share the driving, so I'll have time driving to get some of this done, as well as sitting, chatting with family. So hopefully it'll be off my needles in the next couple of weeks, but it's looking really nice. So that's coming along well. Next whip that I've been working on is my Rift Tee by Jacqueline Cieslak. So it's a bottom up top. Well, it could be a tee or it could be long sleeve as well. So, but it's going to be a little bit awkward to show. I'll do my best. I've done the panel here that's going to be a V-neck, and I'm working on the back at the moment. This is the first time I've done a bottom-up garment, and certainly one of the things I'd heard about bottom-up is that they can be a little bit tricky to gauge length. And even though I added, I think, an extra inch or more than the pattern recommended, I kind of when I held this up the other day, last night actually, I thought, it's going to be a little bit too cropped for me. So I'm going to keep going with the back and see how it comes together. But I thought, well, maybe I can try and add a few more rows here to the shoulder, trying to also be careful that the V then doesn't come down too far, and that might help with a little bit of extra length, but we'll see. It's kind of fun to think of though, because I usually follow patterns pretty closely, and don't really deviate too much. I just haven't had the confidence, but I'm feeling like I'm at that point in my knitting where I can look at a pattern and say, well, maybe I'll do things this way or that way. So but once I've got the back done, I'll have more of an idea about how it's going to sit, and then maybe we'll add a little bit more there. Otherwise I'll just have a very cropped tee, and we'll have to figure out how I wear that or give it away. We'll see. But it's coming along nicely so far, and hopefully it will also be done in the next couple of weeks. It's on 5mm needles, so when I give it a bit of attention, it actually moves really quickly. Next whip is my Curious Handmade. It's Helen Stewart, her Miss May Shawl MKAL. So it's a mystery knit along. So if anyone's worried about spoilers, spoiler alert. However, all the clues, there's 5 clues, they're all now released, and I am still not finished clue number 3. So I think if you were worried about spoilers, you probably have gone past where I'm at anyway, so you're probably not too worried. So here is where I am at. And again, it's all scrunched up. Let's see how I can hold that up for you to see. Obviously, when it blocks, this lace will really open up. This was, I've mentioned this before, but this could have been done in 4 different colors or as a single color. I obviously chose to do it in one color. I'm really glad I did, because I think it's looking really nice. I'm quite happy with how it's coming up. I made mistakes all the way through this one as well, some of which I've ignored, some of which I had to very slowly tink back, which was a little bit painful because there's like 300 something stitches on the needle at the moment, but it's going to be worth it. It's fine. Helen Stewart's patterns, if you've knit any of her patterns before, the way she writes them, it's it's in a table with each of the lines for what you're knitting, and then it has percentages, so you know how far along you are. So I'm nearly at 60% done of this shawl, and I love that, especially for a shawl pattern where, you know, with this kind of a shawl, and you start really small and it moves really quick and you're all excited, and then it just gets longer and longer and slower, and it can feel really painful. So to know that, yeah, I am more than halfway done, I think is really good at keeping that motivation going. And it also means you know how much yarn you've got left. And so this called for 3 skeins if you're doing a single color, and I'm still not finished the first skein, and I'm more than halfway through. So I don't even think I'll get through 2 skeins of this actually. So I have to figure out what to do with that extra skein, which is fine. It's better than running out, so it's all good. But that's how it's coming along now. And then my last whip, which is new, a new whip because it's my mountain socks. I bought these specifically to take with me on my hike last week when I did the Tour de Mont Blanc. I cast on and did the ribbing on the train on the way down, and then took this with me. It was in my backpack. I took it with me up every mountain so that when we had a little break I could do a few rows, and also in the evenings when I wasn't late enough to go to bed yet, but I was too tired to do anything else. It was a really nice way to kind of de-stress and relax, and I was really happy to have it along with me and work on it too. And I love the colors. I'm really glad I chose these colors. They made me think of snowy mountains, and, you know, and that really beautiful blue that the lakes and the valleys can get. And there's even that blue that they get when they're full of sometimes they look, in the Alps, they look really creamy, sometimes the color of rivers as well. And I just think, oh, it's perfect. And I also like how it's knitting up too, that it's slightly stripy but not stripes. I think it's coming together really well. I was going to knit a tube and then cut in for an afterthought heel, but now I mean I haven't done all that much. I'm thinking maybe I could just put in a heel now. I don't know. I haven't fully decided. And also, now that I'm back home, I don't have huge motivation to keep working on it. I was thinking as well that for the flight home back to Australia, anybody who's flown from Europe to Australia or from just about anywhere to Australia knows how long that flight is. So I thought this could be also a good project for that. So I may not get that much more work done on this in the immediate future anyway. So that's all of my whips. I'm really keen to get some things off my needles. I haven't had a huge amount of knitting time because I was off hiking for a week, and then when we got home, we had family staying, which was lovely, but I wasn't doing so much knitting. So I'm not as far along as I thought I would be for a lot of these whips. So I'm anxious is a bit of a strong word for it, but I'm really ready to get them finished. And I need to do a bit of project planning for the next few weeks too, because yeah, I am not allowed to fill my suitcase only with yarn, surprisingly. So I need to decide what I need to keep with me that I'm going to work with before we move, and maybe when we first move, when we get back home. Although don't worry, I already have packages at my parents' place ready for me when I get there in Australia, so I'll have plenty of yarn to work with when I'm back home as well. But I definitely need to do a little bit of planning and get myself organized, but that'll happen. So I don't have any acquisitions, except that when I got home, I had a lovely box from my friend Daniela. She's my Instagram friend, and hopefully one day we'll get to meet in real life. She suggested that we do a yarn swap, which I hadn't done before, and it was a great idea. And she just went above and beyond. Oh my goodness. Like, it was too much, but it was also amazing. So let me show you what she sent, because it's fantastic. This beautiful project bag. Isn't that gorgeous? I love that it's nice and deep and that you can cinch up the top here. I think that's going to be really, really handy. This, I've got two gorgeous yarns from Biff Sugar Yarns. She's in the UK, so this is all UK stuff. And this one's called Fruit Salad. Great. As well as this little sock set here. So pretty. And of course, Dancing in the Rain. Oh, so lovely. She also sent me some really pretty DCM thread for embroidery projects. I've done a little bit of work on my embroidery whip, but it's not enough to bother showing you, don't worry. Next time, hopefully I've done more. I've got some stitch markers and some yummy chocolates. And she even sent my little girl, my daughter, this super cute little bracelet. Isn't that so sweet? She's so lovely. So that was such a beautiful surprise to come home to. Yeah. In terms of all the other stuff, life stuff, so last week I did the Tour de Mont Blanc. The Tour de Mont Blanc is, I think, the most popular long distance hiking route in Europe. You go around the Mont Blanc Massif, the mountain range, through France, Italy, and Spain. Oh, Spain, not Spain, obviously. France, Italy, and Switzerland. And it was spectacular. I feel so grateful that I had the opportunity to do it. This was my 40th birthday present to myself. My birthday is for my birthday last year. We were still in lockdown. And so I said, this is what I want to do. It meant taking away a week from my family, because my husband's not a massive hiker, and of course also he had to stay home and look after our daughter. So, you know, it was a big, for me it was quite a big deal, but it was just brilliant. I loved it. The views were amazing, the hikes were sensational, and all the views were also a little bit different. It was just incredible. It was hard work, it was a real challenge. You were doing ascents of like 1,000 meters, and then you also have to come back down, and anyone who's done some hiking knows that, oh my gosh, down can be just as hard as going up. But it was totally worth it. It was just brilliant, and I would highly recommend that to absolutely anybody. I loved it. I took some little videos and stuff, so I'll see if at the end of this I can put in some little clips as well, so you get a bit of a feel for it. Other than that, I really now am focused on getting ready for our move home. There's a lot of work to do, a lot of clearing to do, organizing, admin stuff and everything. But we've got a couple of weeks from when we have all the packers come and get everything on the shipping container and on the way to Australia. We still have a couple of weeks before we leave Germany and head home. So we've decided we're going to do a little bit of a road trip, and this time we're going to drive to the UK. We've got some friends and family there that we'll catch up with. We'll do a couple of nights in London and then maybe a couple of nights somewhere else. We haven't really organized it yet. So if you have any suggestions, somewhere not so far out of London, let me know. That's worth visiting. But also I was going to ask if anybody knows the yarn stores in London, what is the one that I should prioritize? Because funnily enough, my husband probably won't appreciate us going to all of the yarn stores. Neither will my bank balance. But I'd love to know which one you'd recommend as a, yeah, definitely go out of your way for this one. That would be great. But that's it for me, really. I hope you're having a wonderful day, whatever you're doing. And I look forward to speaking to you next time. Okay, bye. Today's the day. I'm feeling super nervous but I'm excited. I'm all packed and ready to go. I've got my suitcase full of all the whips that's staying in the hotel. I've got my day bag all packed with my hiking poles, and this bag's going to get carried around to each of the refuges that we're staying at. It's a beautiful day outside. I don't know if you can see so well out the window, but it's magnificent, except for the fact that, of course, the blinds didn't work last night. They're electric blinds. They refused to come down, so I was up at Sparrow's Fart this morning. But anyway, it's all good. I'm ready to go. I'll see you on the trail. Bye.